Good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome to this afternoon's School Business Tech Show. I've got a great guest today. I've been joined by Jonny, who is a school business professional from Tanfield School. As part of the School Business Tech Show, one of the things I wanted to do was talk to some of the tens of thousands of school business professionals that are currently using technology to run our schools across the UK. It's really important that, as we talk about technology and we talk about the improvement of education and how they're using technology to develop our schools, that we speak to both the organizations that are developing those platforms, but also the users who are implementing and taking those products further and trying to get the maximum output from them for our schools. Jonny represents an ambitious school business professional who is very tech savvy. He started his school business career nearly 11 years ago and is now the Director of Business and Finance at Tanfield School, who is part of the Eden Learning Trust. So good afternoon, Jonny. How are you doing?
Afternoon, Ryan. I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you very much. And thanks for taking time out of your busy day, because I know there's a lot going on at your school. But if we can get straight into the questions, please. So how important is technology in your role as a school business professional?
Well, I'd say it's now become imperative. It's an imperative part of the role, simply because the role, as everybody will know, is quite a vast role, covering a lot of different areas. And it's quite difficult to have a kind of detailed understanding of every single area by using pen and paper. And sort of over the last sort of 5 years, I've developed in a very technological way, using a lot of digital technologies. Some of the systems I've sort of used have absolutely transformed my school, really. And I mean, the last couple of schools I've been at, really, where it all started. Going back 11 years ago, when I first joined a primary school as a business manager, everything was done, and the accounts were done on paper, A3, 2 sheets stuck together with sellotape, and you had to manually count. That was the beginning, really, for me, of saying there's got to be a better way of doing this. But I was very green at the time, and I wanted to learn. So in order to learn the role, really, you've got to really get stuck in. You've got to learn it. But I think as time goes on, you want to make it more efficient. You want to make it better. And you want to get the most out of not just sort of yourself, but your teams and your colleagues, stakeholders within the organisation, in order to make it as best it can be. So for me, it's been a transformation over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and like you said, I can imagine there's a lot of schools that probably maybe even still out there with bits of paper kind of predominantly holding all this information and data. But if looking back over your time and maybe even thinking about it now, is there a particular platform that you think, that by using that and digitizing that and using that piece of technology has had the biggest efficiency impact on your workload?
Yeah, I would say there's more than one. I mean, it's sort of worth pointing out that not every system suits every user. So you've got to understand what your sort of goals are, what your outcome is, what you would like to achieve. For me, personally, I use ecosystem that is a hybrid. I've got Apple, I've got Google, use for different things. We've also got Microsoft in the background. But for me, the game changer in terms of the position a school was in to where it is now was a system called Every, which sort of we brought in order to just get to the bottom, the root cause of all the issues on the facility side, the IT side, join it all together. And from that, the data is really powerful. You can see, sort of track the spending patterns, the issues that arise on a weekly basis, a monthly basis. Then we started digitizing things like activities for the facility staff, so that when they're doing the weekly checks, the monthly checks, it's all digital, it's all recorded. There's no need to sign something and leave it in office, and everybody gets access to that data straight away. And sort of the other thing that I've really sort of hammered home over the last, I'd say 3 years now, is that I don't use any paper, which is a bit difficult at times, for other people to get their heads around. But for me personally, I keep everything within the ecosystem. I've got notes, which is all digital. I scan everything, use the Google G Suite for various things in terms of storage as well. But those things, having everything to hand, I mean, I used to go home, like say 5-6 years ago, want to do a little bit of work at home, and it was in the days where there wasn't we didn't have sort of remote access to the server and things, and it just becomes very difficult. You've got to take a lot of stuff home. You have to have a lot of paperwork, whereas now I can log in from anywhere. Everything is all seamlessly linked, and for me that's made the biggest difference, having those systems in order to kind of drive efficiencies. Really, that was the outcome behind it. Really, the goal.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm hearing is, it's access to information at the time you want it, where you need it, and the ability, I suppose, to share that with other people in your team, like you said, show the impact of the work that they're doing, the benefit to the bottom line, and how they're running the school. And what would you? So, as you mentioned, you mentioned Every, and you said that's actually been a real positive. Made a positive difference to your kind of workload and making your organization, your school efficient. But what would you like to see from other tech companies who are looking to get into, who are currently delivering products for school business managers or school business professionals, or who are looking to get into that sector? What would you like to see from them?
I think it's two-pronged. The first thing is that everybody likes a good sales pitch. Everybody kind of, in terms of sales companies I've worked with, they want to get you through the door, which is great. But what I'd like to see more of, a company, for example, WeDuck, who we use for parental engagement. If there's a problem, if something isn't right, and you feel as a school, as an organisation, it doesn't work, how do we develop that then? There's other companies out there, which I'm not going to name, but if you've got an issue, it could be MIS related, it could be finance system related, and it doesn't work, you've got to do a manual workaround. There is no kind of appetite from those companies, specifically the ones that I've had experience of over the last few years, to work with the schools and with the customers, in effect, to develop that. And I think I'd like to see more providers being able to work collaboratively with schools, with maybe working groups of things. It could be a group of, could be from trustee level, so they understand things a little bit differently. It could be business leaders, could be head teachers, could be support staff, teaching staff. Doesn't really matter who it is, but having a broader range, just so that you can actually develop things a little bit more. It's all right. Once you buy a system, you've bought it, you've paid the license fee. It could be a year, 3-year contract, whatever it is. That's kind of where some companies fall down, because they say, well, you bought the system now, so therefore, we've got you through the door. Let's get some more customers in. Or that isn't good for business, because I think word of mouth is the main thing. And if you're able to say to your fellow colleagues and professionals that this company can do something like this, if you feel like there's a gap somewhere, they'll develop it for you. Then that's what people want to hear.
I mean, I think that, just touching on that point, I mean, you're quite well connected in the school business professional network, and there are, and there is a lot of dialogues that go around, whether that's regional hubs, whether that's the kind of SBL Connect community, whether that's the ISBL kind of network and stuff like that. Like you said, that word travels fast, so it can't just always be about new business for these companies. It's got to be about the retention, customer satisfaction, and that ultimately will drive new business. Would you agree?
That's the vision I would say I would have if I was an MD, CEO of one of these companies. There's been a really positive move in the market recently with MIS, as we know. One of the episodes this week talking about this, but Arbor and Scholar Pack joining forces, which is excellent news, really, because there's been a stronghold of SIMS for a long time, and that's what it means now. I mean, they've still got a long way to go, but they're able to then say, right, what are you looking for as schools? How can we develop it further? And I think that's got to be a positive for the industry. It's got to be a positive for professionals. But there's a lot of systems out there that do something, but they don't do everything. There's a lot of systems that say they do everything, but they don't do it all very well. So there's got to be a little bit of sort of give and take with it. It's not going to be a simple fix straight away. But it is something I think we could work on as a profession, and support these providers. But at the same time, obviously, time is very precious, and it's if what we really want is for it to be heard, really, in terms of this is something that we all say it takes us X number of hours per week. Is there a solution to it that can support all of us? And if people want to sort of get involved with that, that'll be fantastic. But I do know it is obviously sales driven business, some of it. So that's the other caveat. You've got to balance the two things up. So that's the tricky part, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Having run, ed tech businesses, I do know that everyone wants a fully bespoke system at a, off the shelf price. And like you said, it is a fine balance, but definitely building that relationship with your user base is more than paramount. Final question for me, and I always ask everyone this question, but can you tell me, what are your predictions for school business technology over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think the rapid pace at which online education's developed over the last year has been phenomenal. The pace at which my particular school has been absolutely fantastic. We've got some fantastic people involved and have taken it to the next level. We were already at the top of the game way before schools around us were, which is fantastic to see. But other schools now are catching up with that, and I think it's opened up a whole new world really, because as you know, like we've been using technology for a number of years, very successfully for some things, not for everything, but it's becoming better and better all the time. And I think now there's an opportunity where people work at home. Things are more sort of appealing now in terms of let's look at different things that can improve. So I think in the short term, I think things will continue to go at this pace where trying to develop sort of the online learning provision, and then on top of that, at the end of the day, really by 5 years' time, I would say that a lot of stuff will be very digital, and we'll be moving away from relying on pens and paper, which it's got a purpose, but in terms of how we want to progress as a profession, I think it's going to move in the other direction.
Very good. Jonny, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate your insight and obviously talking about it from the other side of the table, from the user's perspective. Listen, I know you're doing a fab job in everything that you do for the profession. So I wish you all the best of luck in the future. And listen, have a great day, all right?
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me, and all the best. Take care.
All right, take care. Bye.
Yes, bye-bye.